Are you ready? Are you set? 'Cause it's time to embrace the Nitwits!
That's right, everybody. It's time to embrace the Nitwits. Welcome back to another lovely episode of Nerds and Nitwits. As you can see, I am the only true Nitwit here tonight. It's very sad. But with me are two very honorary Nitwits. We have lovely Emma over here to my right, or your right, everybody's right. Gizzy, you can't see it. That's probably for the best anyways. But they're here. They're not muted anymore. They're just not saying anything. So say hello!
I didn't want to interrupt. Hello!
Hi. That's very rude.
Yeah, it's whatever. You're used to it. This is the thing, is due to some scheduling issues, potential arrival times of certain junior nitwits? It's probably a rude thing to say. Just different scheduling things. Poor Dwarf and Judge are not with me today, so I am here with these lovely folks to talk about more random stuff, because I had absolutely no idea what we were going to do, and I didn't want to do it by myself, so we're here. Yeah. One of the biggest things that has been kind of on my mind, and coincidentally on these guys' mind, no Gizzy Cam, I know, for the last couple days, has been the fact that we are 3 weeks out from the release of the Switch 2. And with that comes a lot of... That's all it is. It's a lot of... Nintendo has decided to update a bunch of their policies regarding licensing and the consoles and the games and all that kind of fun stuff. Hot takes. What do you guys think so far?
I think it's dumb.
Super conflicted. Like, there's a lot of things that they've kind of just unpacked on us. And, like, that have slowly kind of rolled out, but also the digital game stuff is where I'm like, are we actually gonna own our own games, own our own consoles?
No.
Because why would you put so much money and hard work into buying something and actually be able to use it the way you want to? So...
for those of you watching that don't know what we're talking about, Nintendo has put out a new licensing agreement that if you basically own a console, you own their games, they probably already asked you to sign it and agree to it, and you've probably already done it without realizing it. But basically what it says is that at any time, especially with the Switch 2, at any time, if they think you've modified the console at all, if they think you've modified your account at all, they can just say, congrats, you have a $700 paperweight. They can basically just brick your entire console. You cannot use it. You cannot do anything about it. You cannot. Like, that's it. The previous licensing states, if you modify it or we think you modified it, blah, 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 they just ban you from the online stuff. So you can't use the eShop, really. You can't play online with anybody anymore. You can't be connected with friends. And so now it basically says, congrats. You don't get this anymore. So this it throws back to last year, whatever it was, when Ubisoft made the lovely statement, gamers need to get used to not owning their games. And so...
Which is terrible.
It's a ripoff, is what it is. And so that was the thing this week, is that there might be random stuff, or this just could be the whole episode by the end of this. But yeah, like the thought process of we don't own our stuff anymore. And even like the licensing agreement stuff says, I forgot to turn off ads. 1 second. Woohoo. What was I saying? Something. Yeah, basically the licensing agreement stuff says, it's you don't own this, you own a license to use it.
Yeah.
Which is the craziest thing in the world to me.
Well, and
is
not only that, too, it says from time to time you may suspend, modify, discontinue, or terminate all of the account services, which is basically like, yeah, we also might just surprise you and just get rid of your account if we feel like it.
yeah.
So,
So even if you buy a Switch 2, and we're gonna talk about the games more a little bit later, just because the games are a whole other story. But if you buy a Switch 2, Emma, um, you don't own a Switch 2. You own the license to play the Switch 2, and that license can just kind of be yoink at any given moment, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. And surprisingly, like there has been some talks about it, there's been videos about it, blah blah. IGN's talked about it, but like it's been fairly quiet since those agreements came out, which is insane to
Is
me.
she?
A little bit fishy, just a little bit, just a little bit fishy, just a little bit. And it's just like, yeah, it's like how, especially here in
Is
Canada,
she?
here in Canada, where what was it by the time you were done tax? What would you say it was? $768.
it was 734 with the Mario Kart bundle.
Ooh,
So, yeah.
Emma.
But that was also in Alberta, where we don't have the extra tax.
That's right. Emma legged out there for a minute, but we heard her. But yeah,
Oh.
like so basically, if you're in like BC, if you're anywhere else other than Alberta, you are paying a minimum $750 for this thing, and you basically have a $750 license. Uh, e e. Uh, in like
It's too much. It's too much money for something that you don't actually own. Essentially, is what it boils down to. You're renting the console instead of, you spend all that time building up the money and whatnot, and then you get this new console. You want, you're playing a game or whatever, and then bam, there it is. It's gone. All that money gone, and you don't get no refund on it, no nothing.
And it's like they might, you might have like, you might go your entire life cycle of your console and not have that issue at all. Yeah, renting till you break a rule and then you get evicted. Or it could be like if they even think that something is suspicious about your account. I've read like Reddit stories of there's a few companies that are extremely hard. Nintendo's extremely hard on it for a lot of things, and even like the World of Warcraft accounts sometimes are bad for it. But it's like if they even think your account is suspicious, or if there's enough reports made against you, like if you're playing Mario Kart and somebody thinks you're a cheater, or you've done something to give you an advantage. If you get enough reports about it, they will just freeze your account, and then there's no way to get it back. If they brick your system, that's it. Like there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Yeah.
So if they even think that something is fishy about your gameplay or your system or whatever, it's just gonna be like delete. Yes.
Well,
It's
and I think in
crazy.
some cases, like, that's fair. Like, if you are cheating, if you're hacking, if you're stealing, like, I was looking at, like, property laws just to see, like, what our rights typically are. And typically, you can do whatever the heck you want with your belongings as long as you're not doing something illegal. Now, like, modding, I don't know the legality of modding, but it's usually just adding fun stuff to games. And I know people that do that cosmetically to their consoles right now. Like, you play Smash Bros, and instead of Donkey Kong, you're like the Among Us character. That's hilarious. Does it affect the gameplay? It doesn't. It's fun. But to get your entire console bricked over that seems like super over dramatic to me. So,
like yes and no, because there are some companies, so like Larian Studios. I love Larian Studios. Garret also loves Larian Studios. And good old Gizzy. Because they not only said we're okay with mods, they built a system into their game to give mod support. because it just adds to the game. There are
Yeah.
like I understand some companies because especially Nintendo where it's like games like Skyrim, one of the most modded games ever, uh, is already a T or M rated game. I forget what it is, and so Bethesda expected certain mods to be made. They didn't allow them on their official system, but they also didn't shut down. Like there is, I forget what it's called. I think it's something stupid like the Ultimate Beauties mod, and you can just imagine what that does for Skyrim. And so they're expecting that. I understand Nintendo's point of it when it comes to modding because their whole thing is being family friendly. If you are playing Smash Bros. For example, and somehow they manage to get bypass everything and play online with mods, and suddenly you're playing against again somebody like Bayonetta, who's already a scandalous character, but she becomes very much M-rated, then I understand them having a problem with that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think there are definitely instances where mods are not okay. Modding systems, totally different story. I've never done that. Not once. Not ever. And that changes the hardware.
No, not at all.
No.
Don't incriminate yourself here. You might never be able to own a Switch too.
For educational purposes. For educational purposes, it was done on a system I own. For educational purposes only. It was tinkering, it was coding, it was a good time. But that changes the internal software. It doesn't change the hardware necessarily, but it changes all the internal software to say, yeah, you can suddenly do you could do this, and now you could do like this. Like and that's the thing, is that like if you're changing a system that much, like I kinda understand having, but those are also systems that are now obsolete in my not that they're obsolete because there's still a lot of good games on them, but
like you can't buy consoles, like the old consoles anymore, and you can't buy their games anymore, so like emulating a 3DS to play the old games.
Exactly.
I've seen that done before. It technically is piracy, but how else are you gonna get those games?
You already I get it, but like you've already bought the console.
Yeah.
You've already spent your money on it. You own that. So what you do with it then really should just be up to you. The fact that Nintendo is willing to literally have you spend money on this. And let's take, for example, say Joel is streaming Mario Kart. He's playing online or something like that, right? Let's say he's like a monster at the game and he's winning every single game that he races in and whatnot. And imagine if people start reporting him, thinking he's cheated or something like that. There's enough reports and allegations against him to the point that now it's on Nintendo's radar, and they're like, oh, okay, well, there's this many reports against him. Well, what are we going to do? We're just going to brick his console, and then that's the end of his Nintendo Switch career.
Yeah.
All because he was good at the game. And that's where my big problem comes in about it, because if you really look at all kinds of streamers, Call of Duty streamers, Marvel Rivals, anything competitive, you're going to see a lot of streamers that are really good at the game. And you already know, like, you might see it on YouTube and stuff. Well, a bunch of these people get reported, get accused of hacking or whatever, cheating in their games, and they get falsely reported. Nothing necessarily happens to them. There's the odd case that sometimes, you'll see them get banned or something like that. But normally they can report it. They can, they can re-get their console or their account or whatever it is back. But with the Switch, there's not really a lot of options. Nintendo's outright saying, yeah, we're going to brick your console just like that. And that's the end of your console. Now you got to go spend another $800 to get another Switch 2 if you want to.
Well, not only that,
Well,
you have to go buy a whole other console and create a whole new account.
Yeah.
They freeze your account, they freeze your console, they freeze everything. So even if, let's say I bought like Nintendo or like Mario Kart World on like the physical key card, which we're gonna get to soon. And then I bought the Donkey Kong Bonanza, whatever it's called, as a digital game from the eShop. If they freeze my, if they brick my console and brick my account, well, that's now 700, 800, basically $900
Yeah.
that I've just wasted, and all the progress is gone. So now I have to spend another $900 to get all that stuff back, and then do it all over again. So it's like, if I've, nearly completed, let's say Donkey Kong 100%, and I've been having a good time with it, and I just I'm so close to finishing, and then all of a sudden they decide, nah, you're a mess. Well, I'm screwed. That's what it states.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I
What's your
was even
platinum trophy?
thinking, like, if we go into a further generation of consoles, like, say Switch 3 comes out, same thing, you get your account banned somehow. Not only is that Switch gone, they might also ban any other Switches connected. But if you're all digital games anyways, you can't play any of your Switch 3, Switch 2, Switch 1. Everything is wiped because it's all digital games now.
mm-hmm.
So, like, you can't
That's a
re-download
really
anything.
big thing too.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that like digital gaming is huge now. Like it's very rare that people buy physical copies of games. Most of the time, if you do it, it's thrifting kind of thing. You put it on the shelf, it looks very pretty.
like
But yeah, majority of gamers now will just buy games digitally because it's easier. You get access. You don't got to go to a store. You don't got to deal with people, and you don't have to run into the chance that it might not be available.
Yeah, like in that instance, Doom Dark Ages came out technically today. For us here in BC, especially, it launched at 9 p.m. last night. If I bought that digitally, or if I did what I did and downloaded it through Xbox Game Pass, I have access to it at 9 p.m. on Wednesday night. Where if I'm waiting to buy it digitally or pick it up digitally, well, there's a lot of stores that don't do midnight releases unless it's a major game. Like Pokemon, they did for Pokemon, they did for Zelda, they did whatever. Then I have friends playing it, if in Garrett's case, especially, let's say, for example, he was going to buy it physically. He's got me playing it the night before already on Xbox digitally, whereas he has to wait until the next morning and wait for the stores to open and wait in line and wait to go pick it up just to go pick it up digitally. And then by the time he gets home, he probably still has to download an update for it. And so digital is just so much more convenient. But I was talking with one of my friends, Jason, yesterday about digital stuff in general, is that it's like everything we own is digital or we're streaming, whatever. It's like I have a massive library on my Xbox, and of movies that I bought on sale. I bought like the massive Batman collection that went on sale for the 80th anniversary a couple years ago. That was like 40, 50 plus movies and shows and whatever else. And then if I lose my Microsoft account, it's just gone. Like I don't have access to it anymore. And so it's like in this age of digitally buying everything, like especially like with breaking consoles or like breaking or freezing accounts isn't as bad, because freezing accounts is like, okay, I can't play Mario Kart or I can't play Smash Online anymore, but I can still sit here and play those games and play Super Mario Odyssey, or I can still play it beside people on my couch. Where now it's like they've gone that extra step that's for their integrity and their safety to screw over their loyal fans and customers. And that's absolutely trash to think about.
What do they even want done with the consoles after they get bricked? Like, what is their thought process?
I don't know. And it's like there's nothing.
Build a house.
There's nothing so far like in their license, like in their agreements, to say, oh, if you do something, you get bricked, send it back to us, and then maybe they'll
That would be
maybe they'll reset it or something. And like that would be a slightly more reasonable, because it's like if you get called out by Nintendo, you get your console bricked, and you have to go through the shame and embarrassment of sending it back to them. It's gonna be a little while before I touch that thing with my sticky little fingers again, if you know what I mean. That came out weird. Anyways, like I'm not gonna modify it. I'm not gonna change it like that, because now I've had to go to this giant mega corporation and be like, hey, I screwed up. Can you fix this, please? Like, it's like one of those major slap on the wrist things.
What was it? Just made me think about it too. Remember a while ago, I don't know if you know about this, but remember, like, I think it's happened numerous times where sell out and like, do you remember?
You're gonna have to repeat
like,
that. You like cut out
Yeah,
that
one more
entire
time.
sentence, dude.
My bad. Sorry. So, do you remember years ago, I think it happened, where PlayStation themselves got hacked?
Yes.
Like yes. And in doing that, whoever the hacker was able to manipulate a bunch of stuff on people's PlayStations themselves because they had access to the company's massive, I don't know, motherboard or whatever you want to say, just as an
Servers.
example. But like, imagine now if somebody wanted to do that with Nintendo and do it with the Switch too. Imagine what they could do with that, because if Nintendo is putting it out there
Break
that they can
everybody.
brick their consoles, who's to say that some a-hole comes along, hacks into everyone's systems or whatnot, and just shuts everyone down just like that? Gonna be a big problem.
Yeah.
Yikes! Yeah.
Especially it's like the core process of bricking a console or bricking a phone or whatever is that there is literally no access to it anymore. That's what the whole concept
Yeah.
of bricking is. So if you have something
Well, it's like
that
serial
happen,
numbered, right?
well, yeah. And so it's like if you have something like that happen, it's like, what's Nintendo gonna do? The Control Alt Delete, yeah, that's
like,
what they're gonna do basically.
Can you fix it? Can you factory reset my Switch
pretty
that's
well.
been bricked?
Because yeah,
Control Alt Delete.
The whole thing with bricking is that, especially, you can't remotely access it anymore. Because what it does is that it basically triggers a failsafe that slowly shuts everything down from the inside, shuts down the receptors, shuts down wireless, shuts down everything, shuts down the motherboard entirely, and so that becomes a physical fix. And if Nintendo's the only one that knows how to do that, well, now you have, a million Switch 2s suddenly coming back to factory to be reset, and then you have to keep track of all those, and then you have to make sure that everything's the right one, and then you have to make sure. It's like that's a bigger issue than they want to deal with, I think.
But they brought it upon themselves.
Oh, they did.
Well, yeah, I'm just like, logistically, my brain's hurt. Like, what if, you sold your Switch to somebody, and then in that process, somebody reported you for hacking, and then Nintendo banned your Switch, but it already belongs to somebody else. But because it has a serial number that was attached to your account or whatever the process is, somebody else's Switch gets banned. Like, I don't see how this is a smart idea.
I don't know. And maybe they had changed their minds. To answer your question, Brendan, if somebody can figure out how to be Peter Griffin in Mario Kart, can they not also find a way to remove that failsafe? Technically, like, maybe, but those failsafes are usually buried in the deepest part of the hardware and the software. They're buried behind firewalls, behind encryptions, behind like anything that basically only, in this case, Nintendo has a direct line to. They're the only ones that can directly get into it, where it's like, if Nintendo's coming from this direction, I try and come from this direction, well, then I have brick wall, 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 and a, hey, I see what you're doing there, trigger that happens. And so chances are, is they probably, if they have that safe, or like that fail safe in place to be able to brick your console remotely, they probably also have something that says, hey, we know you're tampering with this. buy. Basically, you'd
Yeah,
have to
and
be,
that's
and you'd have to know like every single line of code within that console to do it.
and you probably like you wouldn't even be able to do that without probably a few tries, which means a few $100s on multiple consoles.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
You have to be really committed.
if
Yeah.
if they have a way to do it remotely, then they also have a way to stop you from doing it remotely. It's kind of the main thing.
Yeah. And like it's mind-boggling is what it really is. Like you play a game on Xbox, you cheat in Call of Duty or something like that, your account gets banned. That makes sense, you know? Like you're
Mhm.
cheating, it gets picked up and whatnot, you like that account's banned. To actually break an entire console, it's just I can't fathom it. My mind cannot compute with the fact that the company of this console is saying you're basically borrowing this, and at any point in time, if we think you're tampering, that's it, you're done. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah. Speaking of the relationship between Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo, this is the other half of kind of what I want to talk about is the Nintendo Switch key cards. The Switch 2 key cards.
Oh,
Like the virtual game cards?
No, the key cards.
Oh, like the physical. Yeah.
The physical.
Yeah, the physical
cards
games that aren't physical
that
games.
are no longer physical games. So
I think I have
if
it pulled
you
up
Yeah.
over here.
didn't know and you haven't seen it yet, a lot of like the cases got put on display, and people realized that on the bottom of the Switch 2 physical game cases, there is a little line of text that says, basically it says, "This is not a physical game. This is a key card." And what that
Can I screen share? Show it.
no, it's gonna it's gonna change everything.
Oh, I won't mess with it
Don't worry
then.
about it.
Okay.
It basically says, yeah, this is not a physical game. This is a key card. And basically what it is that if the game is this big, it puts this amount of the game on the card to let it know that you have access to it, and then you have to download the rest of it. So if you buy a physical game, you don't actually own a game. You own a license to play that game, which is much like the console. If you bought the console, you don't buy the console. You buy a license to play that console. If you buy a game, you don't buy that game. You buy
And,
a license to play that game.
I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk 2077 is a prime example of it. I think that's the one
Yeah.
I heard of. Is that one specifically is going to be a game key card at launch for the Nintendo Switch 2. And sure, like for example, like I bought last year I bought the WWE 2K24. When I bought it physically. Yeah. And when I put it in the console, I still had to install the game, but I owned the game at least. There's a difference between doing that and basically still just renting the game, which is what Nintendo is doing with every single product that comes with the Switch 2.
Well, and like even with this, the whole thing too is that with the regular Switch, any SD or micro SD whatever card works in your Switch.
Yeah.
With the Switch 2, you will now have to have a SD Express or an Express SD, whatever they're called. So you have to have a specific type of SD card to have expanded storage in your console. You have to download every game you want to buy, and even if you download, I'm pretty sure the whole thing with the key cards is that even if you have a key card and you download the game like it says you have to do, I am 90% sure you still have to have that physical key card in your console to play those games, even though you've already downloaded it.
Yeah.
Which is so nuts. And then even their whole thing now, that one of their big things was with the Switch 2 and stuff, especially if you had like if your household had a pair of Switches, and you had like a family joint account on them or whatever, if you bought the game on one, especially digitally or whatever, you could play it on either console at any time. With the Switch 2, that is no longer the case. If you have 2 consoles, you have to buy that game twice. Even if you are in a joint family account, that is one of the things I've said, is that you can no longer like share it. It is an individual license for that game. It is no longer like, it's no longer like that. And then it's even the whole thing of like, I was talking to Emma about this earlier. Like Garrett and I use game share on Xbox. So I'm logged into his Xbox. He's logged into mine. We have access to each other's libraries. So if there's a big game coming out that one of us wants to, or both of us wants to play, but only one of us want to pay for it, that's fine. We did that with he did that with WWE 2K25 and got me to play it with him. But like stuff like that where it's like that's a game I would never buy by myself, but he has it. We have game share. We could both play it at the same time. With the Switch 2, you can't do that anymore. You can't do the full family share thing, and again, you're owning a license to be able to, for you specifically, to play that game.
Well, it seems like you are able to share it with virtual game cards, though. Like
But-
they have to be in your family, right?
But even with the virtual game cards, is that if we're in the same family thing, I can send like if you buy the Switch 2, I buy the Switch 2. You can share Mario Kart World with me, but then you can't play it the entire time I have it.
Yeah.
So that's not sharing. That's
But
that's
the
borrowing.
thing is-
That's legitimately just borrowing.
But the way it is right now is that if you wanted to share a game with someone, you just have to share them your account information. But while they're playing your game, I think you can't use your account or something like
No,
that.
it's only if they're logged into your account. So I can log into your
'Kay.
Switch, download the games that I have bought digitally to your Switch, then you can use them with your user and your account. But with the Switch 2, that's not how that works anymore. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, they're kind of like trying to make it
they're
like a
really
physical
selling
game.
this console, aren't they?
Yeah. So like the
Well, I've been
the
looking at Game Share too, and I was noticing that Game Share only works if it comes from the Switch 2. Like, the Switch 1 can receive games, but can't like
Can't send
share
them,
games
no.
back. So, like, even if you wanted to play with your friends, somebody has to own a Switch 2 and be the host, and they have to have all the games.
Mhm.
Like, you can't go backwards. It's
That's another thing actually is when it comes to upgrading your games to the Switch 2, there's still a cost to those games now too, which
Yeah.
is wild to me. So say you owned Tears of the Kingdom, Legend of Zelda, great game and all. You have to spend X amount of money to upgrade it.
Is he still there?
I don't know. He cut out. I mean, yes, but it's the same thing with
Oh.
like
Sorry.
it was the same thing with like Ghost of Tsushima. Like Ghost of Tsushima originally launched on the PS4. They did an upgraded version for the PS5, and then you could pay for the upgrade to the PS5. And that was like a $40 upgrade to do if you wanted to do it. And so that's not a new concept, is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Well, and I was
Nintendo's
looking at it
charging a little bit
earlier.
more, but
The added like whatever expansions, upgrades to these games are available at least for both Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They're available if you have the expansion pass on online,
yeah.
which I already have because I wanted the DLC for Animal Crossing and Mario Kart. Blah 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 blah. Like it's more value just to get the extra expansion there. So if you already have it, you would already get it. But I don't know if they're going to do that for every single upgrade. Like they're not
Probably
doing it
not.
for Jamboree, or I don't think they're doing it for Kirby either.
They're doing
But it's just like they're trying to fork out more money for every single game they've already released.
Yep.
And that's super annoying.
I mean, like Bethesda did the same thing with. We have 4 different versions of Skyrim now, that all added something. Not all of them were necessary, but they all added something because they knew people would still buy them. It's the same with the Switch too. Like I've watched the comparison of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild especially between the Switch 1 version and the Switch 2 version. There's a 65% load difference between the Switch 1 version and the Switch 2 version. Like it was insane to watch them side by side. I was like, that to me is a worth it upgrade. If you are going to keep replaying Breath of the Wild and stuff over and over again. And like that to me is a slightly better, it's slightly worth it, but it like the whole concept of basically you're buying a game but you don't own your game is kind of insane to me, honestly. And just like you own the right to play a game, not the game itself.
Yeah. Was I looking at? Well, and I'm even noticing too, they're like adding more things to the game. Like they're not just adding better graphics, better load times. They're adding like more features to the games to make the upgrades more appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Like added things like features in Tears of the Kingdom, which I felt were a little bit unnecessary. Like you didn't need to add more to this game. Why did you do that? But it's to make it worth the extra $30.
Yeah, and like I
to
can
upgrade
understand that if they're adding a lot that people like, yeah, you might not think they're worth it, but somebody's like, yeah, I love that. I love that they added that. Then and they think I think that is worth it to upgrade for that price. Then that's great. Like if they're adding stuff to do that, if they were just saying, oh yeah, there is a slight graphical upgrade, and we're gonna charge you $30 for that. It's like, no. Like I forget what game did
No,
it.
thanks.
I can't remember what game did it, but there was a game. I remember looking at it that came out, and then it came out on the next console, and they said, "Hey, we made some graphical improvements. $10 and it's yours." And by that point, the game had already been out for like 2 or 3 years, and so people were like, $10 to play this game in a whole new light? Sure, why not? Like that makes sense to me. But whereas by the time the Switch 2 comes out, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom will be what? 2 years? Not even 2 years?
No anymore.
I've lost track of when
It's
that
not
came
that
out.
old.
It's not. It can't be that old.
It's not.
Borderline 2 years.
When did Tears of the Kingdom come out? Tears of the Kingdom release. Oh no, yeah, it's almost May 12th, 2023. So as of 3 days ago, it's 2 years old. Yeah. At this point, it might be better to not open the new box. Just wait till they make fixes and resell it for a better price. Yeah. Then we can use.
Well,
the money
I
for a
think
new
for my
box.
Switch, like I thought about buying Switch 2, switching everything over, and then putting my old Switch on Marketplace like immediately. I'm like, I am more hesitant to do that now than ever. Because I'm like, even looking at the cross compatibility of games, like there's a list of games on the Nintendo website, and they're like, yeah, like in the crossover, these games are actually having issues, but we're working on it. So it's like I don't even know. I don't want to lose all the games I have digitally on my Switch now if there is issues, and I also just I'm scared. I don't know if this new console will come with more issues. It sounds like there isn't physical issues right now, but they
That we
haven't
know
actually
of.
entered people's homes yet.
Yeah.
So
The versions
Yeah.
that are out there
It's just
are
it sounds like a
limited.
scam.
Well, and that's like I
With games getting upgrades and stuff.
yeah.
Dude.
I think Garrett tried to say something, but I have no idea. I got as far as
I didn't want to interrupt you. That was my bad.
whatever. But yeah, like so the same day I was witnessing Emma go through her pre-order struggles on the Switch 2 because she sat here on Discord and shared it with everybody that morning. It was very funny. I debated doing the
awful.
same thing. Like, I debated going down to the mall, going to GameStop, and at least putting a deposit down on pre-ordering a Switch 2. And then within a week, I was like, I'm really glad I haven't done that yet. Like, and even like when we were talking about it, it was like, there's nothing like Mario Kart World looks fun. It looks like it'd be a fun time. It looks like it'd be a fun time to drive around with everybody. But initially at launch, that's the only new game that's releasing alongside the Switch 2.
Hmm.
That's garbage. That's what that is. Like,
Well,
Mario
didn't
Kart's
that
great,
happen for the
That's really
Switch?
bad.
Like, I thought the Switch only released with like Zelda and then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe,
but
maybe.
it released with Breath of the Wild. It
Yeah.
released with a first new Zelda game in a decade?
But Breath of the Wild had been on the Wii U before.
No, it launched on the Wii U the same time as.
Oh,
I'm
maybe
pretty
I.
sure. I'm pretty
I-
sure it launched on the Wii U the same time as the Switch. I'm pretty
I'm
sure.
gonna Google
'cause
it.
Otherwise, I would have
I
bought
don't
it
know.
on the Wii U.
I don't know. That's why
I might
thought
be
it was on the
wrong,
Wii U.
But even still,
Let me Google.
brand new console, and that was the other thing. It was a brand new console, brand new Zelda game. The first Zelda game had gotten since Skyward Sword. So that is at least 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 6 or 7 or 8 years more. Because I can't remember when Skyward Sword came out, but it was a huge gap. And we got like the 3DS ones and stuff, and we got like Link Between Worlds and stuff, but like a mainline first, like a new mainline Zelda console or console Zelda was insane. And I waited out in the cold and negative 18-degree weather for that one, and it was worth it. But like, I would not do that for the Switch 2. There isn't enough current improvements to it for me, and like,
Yeah.
and with the fact that for new games it only launches with Mario Kart, like that wasn't enough incentive to drop $800+ or $800.
Well, it's not
basically.
even like a new console. It's more of an
It's just an
upgrade to the last console.
Yeah,
Same with the game too. Like Mario Kart World, it's just building off of the last one. It's not like I don't know how much new there is. We haven't seen an open world game like that before, but still, it seems like most of the mechanics are crossing over.
mm-hmm.
So
I
Yeah.
hope they do, Brendan. Like, I hope they realize it. And
they're
drop
like really
something
leading
better.
into like the not the game share, but like the basically Discord function of the Switch where you can
But it's so
video chat
janky.
your friends.
It's so
I
bad.
know.
Like, it's not.
awful.
They didn't even show it off well. It was like,
But they're like, guys, this is why the console's $800.
that's like basically what it is. It's like -5 frames per second. With this, like, and it's not even that, but it's like if you're playing full screen, well, all of a sudden this much of your screen now is taken up by these stupid little janky little 5 frame per second screens for
Oh,
somebody
man.
who's probably 3 doors down from you.
So
It's
true.
just like,
Awful.
I love
It's
the
so
idea of it.
unnecessary.
I love the idea of what they're trying to do, and like even the mouse function in the Joy-Con is
It looks pretty neat.
like, it looks like it could be cool. Like, I watched somebody play Metroid Prime 4 and switch between like using a joystick to aim and whatever else. And then
I
using
saw
the
that too,
mouse
yeah.
To aim, like, that's kind of cool. It's not $800 cool. Like, it's not. It's like, yeah, the 4K functionality is great. I don't need to see the denim lines in Mario's overalls, though. Like,
To see the hair on his
You
arms.
can do that on Odyssey.
and that's the thing. It's like, if you went into the photo mode, I don't even know if there is photo mode. If you went into like certain camera angle on Odyssey, you could do that, and that's not 4K functionality. That's just a good game design. And so I think the whole concept.
There's
of the
plenty of
Switch 2
games
right
like
now,
that now.
Yeah, I think the whole concept
I
of the
think-
Switch 2 is a little bit overhyped at the moment.
Well, and I think Nintendo's trying to trap its fans in that because they're like, we know you're going to buy it
Mm-hmm.
because of how invested all of you guys are in this brand, this game franchise, whatnot. Like they know we're gonna buy it because of the new Mario Kart, because the Zelda upgrades, because the games we love are gonna be on there and they'll run better than ever.
Prime 4.
But then they're gonna trick us and trap us with the fact, oh, now all your games are digital. You know what? Now, like, you can't resell anything if it sucks. So now we can actually publish really bad games that you'll buy and you can't return them because all your games you have to buy digitally unless you want to pay more for a digital keycard. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, my brain hurts.
And then you might lose the console.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you might get your console bricked anyways after you bought all these crappy games that you couldn't return. So, oh my gosh.
Everybody else hear that? Or was that just me?
Yeah.
What?
No, I heard that.
You like lagged out hard. It was funny. We could still hear you, but it was just like
Welcome to the
My
first
chair
guest podcast
squeaking.
of Nerds and Nitwits.
Oh yeah. And this was like, what were we were talking about this, or no, your whole thing of like trying to trap people by making like with the fans of Mario Kart and fans of this. They tried to do it with a whole different set of fan base, and that's dangerous because they tried to do it
Yeah.
with the FromSoft fan base. Garrett's disappointed.
You
That
don't
game is
understand the anger I have right now about that, by the way. The fact that the Switch 2 is getting a brand new FromSoft game, and it's exclusive to the Switch 2, and it has all these negative things going on about it right now. It is not encouraging to buy a Switch 2 and get this game, and it's so frustrating. When I first saw that trailer, I was amazed, because it looks like Bloodborne 2, basically. And Bloodborne is like one of their better games that they release. Like, it is definitely a fan favorite. Everyone wants Bloodborne 2, and that's what this game kind of looks like. And then it gets to the end of the trailer, it's like exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2, and I was just like, oh, damn it. Like, I am not buying that.
I heard about that day.
Well,
That was
do you have a
great
Switch?
conversation.
I'll game share it to you from my Switch
I don't
2.
even think I'll run
Oh,
on
but
the
it's-
Switch 1.
I don't
I have a
know.
Switch right now anyway. I just was never a big fan. Here's a perspective, like, from my perspective, one who just plays games. I don't get Nintendo's consoles. The last one I owned was literally a Wii. I don't get them a lot because a lot of the time I'm not very interested in what's selling anyway. Like, I don't have a big interest in Mario games. A lot of them are the exact same thing to me with just new power-ups. It's the exact same
So is
game
Dark
though,
Souls.
in my eyes. Well, no, Dark Souls has expanded things. It has different weapons, different builds and stuff like that. Don't get me started, okay?
That's another conversation for another day.
But I'll debate that next guest podcast. But for the Switch and stuff like that, exclusives to the Switch is pretty well just Nintendo games, and that doesn't interest me personally. Like to me, like, Nintendo is a party game console. Like for example, Sean owns a Switch. He brings it over. We play Smash Bros. Or something like that. Sam owns a Switch. She brings it over. We play Mario Party or something like that. And that's really what it is to me. But yeah, I want to play the new Pokemon games or something like that. But I also don't want to go spend $800+ on a Switch 2 to play. I think it's Legend Z is coming out.
Legend ZA.
And yeah, and negative things about a Switch 2 right now, it's just not worth it in my eyes. Like, I might have actually been interested in it if there weren't all these other issues with it. But overall, Nintendo's just a party game console to me. It's like, I like competitive games. That's why I play Rivals a lot. I like fun games and stuff like that. And other ones, even if you get it on a Nintendo console, it looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
example I can think of that I actually
Mortal
played.
Kombat. Mortal Kombat 1 was terrible on the Switch. That was nightmare fuel.
Daylight was the
I
last
think-
thing I played on a Switch, and I played Dead by Daylight regularly, and it looks pretty good on console and PC and stuff. But the second you go over to the Switch, that thing looks like a clay motion picture.
I own
It's
Dead by
really
Daylight
bad.
on the Switch. It's really bad.
It looks
is really
bad. Don't, yeah, you got me. It looks
But
bad.
I gotta agree
like,
with you though.
even
Like
though
the
it has-
console is meant for being a party console. Like that's what it shines at, and that's
Exactly.
what I
And,
use
like,
it as.
That's the biggest selling point of Nintendo's consoles is that they're made
Yeah.
for family fun or friend fun and stuff like that. And the Switch was a banger when it came out because it's not only a console, it's a handheld console. You can take that, go do whatever you want. If you're a big fan of like Legend of Zelda, you can play The Wild on the go. You can play Tears of the Kingdom on the go and stuff like that. That's great for people that are interested in that. But for, I think, a majority who, probably don't play those games a whole lot, it's really just down to being a party console or something that, say, like a mom or dad would get for their 8 kids. It's
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think that's why some of the upgrades serve that purpose well, like the bigger screen, better graphics, like the Joy-Cons, that all works great. But like it also takes away, especially for the game key cards, because like part of the best parts of Switch is like, oh, you want my game? Here, borrow it. Like you can take it with you. And then we see each other next, we can swap them. We can't do that if we only have digital games, and if you're limiting us to only buying digital games, and like even the virtual cards aren't working that way. It's just, it feels like it's not actually serving its purpose anymore, and I think
it's-
that's what I'm like torn about.
It's actually an even bigger problem that you can't even like share games like you could in the previous Switch. Say for example, you and Joel buy a Switch 2 and you get the Pokemon games or something like that. Because normally there's exclusives to the versions, like for example, Shine and Diamond or whatever it is, Brilliant Diamond, Shine and Pearl. There's exclusives to those games, so normally the two of you would get separate games or something like that and be able to trade them or whatever or whatnot. But like you have to buy them separately instead of being able to just share the games. That just seems really bad.
Yeah. I mean, there's only one version as Legend
Really
GA
screwed up
anyways,
here.
So. I think I don't
Till they release one.
He's trying to talk, but he ain't coming through. For me especially, I like the Switch 2, unless some miracle happens and I hear nothing but fantastic, phenomenal reviews, and I get myself a very nice job somewhere, it's not going to be a year one buy for me. Like it's
Yeah.
not going to be something I buy within the first year. And even most console releases in general are not year one buys. Because even if they do have game launches with them, there's almost always issues. And Nintendo's not going to be any different, unfortunately.
We just had a Best Buy gift card, so I was like,
And that's the thing, I'm not judging you for buying
well,
them.
and my hope is that like if the console has its own issues, Nintendo would fix that issue. Like within my year warranty, if my console is tweaking,
Bricked.
they have to fix it. Like I shouldn't have a not functional Switch if I'm spending up to $800 on it.
You would think
That's
so.
crazy.
You would think so, but even like the Switch 1 had at launch had the warping issues when you left them in the dock. It had Joy-Con drift, which still has
Yeah.
Joy-Con drift. Like it still has all these issues that, like, yeah, they will fix it, but it's still a pain. You still gotta send it off to me. You gotta still pay the shipping fee. You gotta pay the repair fee. You gotta pay all that kind of stuff. And it's so expensive. Like the general price of everything has gone up by $20+ for some of the things. Like the Joy-Cons are now like $120 or something like that for a set.
Yeah.
For the Joy-Con 2s. I'm like, that's like the only time I only own 4 total Joy-Cons. The 2 that came with my console, and the only 2 that I bought separately, I bought on sale on Black Friday, and bought like stupidly cheap in comparison. We're not gonna go into how much you've got.
Yeah, we have a lot. I mean, in all fairness, I got married and our Joy-Con collection just joined. So we had
fair.
like 3 pairs each.
That's different.
Yeah. But like I totally agree. I mean, most of the reviews I've seen for this
needs
Switch
to go
are
get
good.
married.
Whoa.
Anyways.
But like most of the reviews I've seen on the Switch 2's hardware are actually really positive. Like everything feels sturdy, and because of all the issues the Switch 1 had, things like the scratches in the dock when you docked it, like things like that aren't happening because they've designed it based off the last Switch. So I've heard, but again, it hasn't entered people's homes yet, so we don't know like what the actual general wear and tear is going to look like. Yeah. We've just seen people playing them at like the tester places. So
yeah, and even with like the cons and like expos and stuff they've been in closed conditions, locked down to the tables, locked with supervision, and they're all, for the most part, and even with some of the kids that are there, but like for the most part, are all adults touching them and using them. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not like
we gotta get some Cheeto
married,
dust in those Joy-Cons.
Well, this is the thing. If I got married 10 years ago, and now had like a 8-year-old kid, that's not the same. Like, what happens to my Switch 2 when I'm not at home, but my 8-year-old kid is not the same as people watching you like a hawk at a like Nintendo Expo or whatever, showing it off or showcase, whatever you want to call it. And so, what happened? Like, I'm going to be super curious from June 5th to July 5th, because it launches on June 5th. I'm going to be super curious to see what that month holds for Reddit and IGN and all these different places, because I can't wait to see the legitimate reviews from people being like, guys, I got it home and it crumpled to dust. Like,
just self-destructed. Poof. It's gone. I'll keep you updated on mine. I'm probably only going to play Mario Kart World for like the rest of my life, but go ahead, Gizzy.
I feel like new consoles, yes, they have a lot of benefits, but yes, thank you. But new consoles, yeah, they come with a bunch of different upgrades and stuff like that. But like, there also seemingly is a lot of problems with these new consoles. Like, for example, I bought a PS5 years ago, and mine still runs great. I enjoy it. I played here and there. Sean bought a PS5, and his is having so many random issues. Like, apparently he gets some sort of screen that comes up, like a blue screen or something, every so often. He turns it on, and I don't know what that's about. And then there was also the issue with the PS5 of the whatever that chip is. But if you dock it the way they advertised it to be docked up, like facing upward, and if you're after prolonged use of it, like from the heat that comes out of consoles, it literally melts this chip away and it renders your console useless. So I don't know what the Switch 2 is going to be like, but like Joel said, it's not going to be a year one buy for me. I might get it eventually, but I am extremely hesitant to get it at all right now. But if I do, it won't be a year one thing.
Yeah, it's like, I want it for Mario Kart World. I want it, admittedly, because it just looks like stupid little fun. I want it for Donkey Kong. Do I love his new design? No. Do I think the game looks like stupid fun? Yes. Do I want it for Metroid Prime 4? Yes. Do I want it for Legend Z8? Yes, because the combat in that game for Pokemon for the first time ever looks interesting and not just turn-based. Am I gonna buy it unless something major happens within the first year? Probably not. Unless I suddenly win the lottery, which would be a miracle,
it
considering I
doesn't
don't play the lottery.
justify.
Never know.
It
Might
doesn't
pick up a wallet
justify
on
the high
ground.
price of, like, yes, all these games look really good. A
I mean, the
wallet on
price
ground
like of the console
doesn't have a driver's
itself.
license in it.
I don't know. Like, I feel like the console itself, like the pricing kind of makes sense because of the pricing of the PlayStation and the Xbox.
But it's not. This is the thing.
And
it's
the fact
not
that it's
on
a travel
par.
No, not
console.
It
a
is not
chance.
on par with a PS5 and an Xbox Series. Like, it is not the same thing. If you put all three of them in a lineup and you do like if you do a stress test on each of them, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are gonna come out here, and the Switch 2 is gonna come out here. Like, it is
But you
not
can
justified.
take the Switch
It
anywhere.
still
That's
doesn't
the
justify
difference.
$800. If I wanted to be able to do that, I'd go buy like a ROG Ally, which is
ROG
just
Ally,
a
yeah.
mobile PC
Or like a Stream Deck.
for $500. That's it. And
Yeah.
then I have my entire Steam library. I have whatever else I
Also,
want to
the
put on it.
price.
Yes, Garrett?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I was just looking it up here, but the price of an Xbox Series X at launch was $499, and the Switch 2 is basically double that price at launch.
Oh, throwing things.
Yeah. And that's like only a 3, maybe 4 year difference. Because a Series X came out in 20. I was still living there. I was still with them. So would have been 2022, 2021 that the series came out. So that's still like only a 5 year difference max. And that's a massive increase over that amount of time.
I also wonder if
It doesn't-
inflation
it
had
doesn't
anything to do with
justify
it too, though.
Yeah, I'm not saying it justifies it at all.
I think it's greed.
Oh yeah. Well, it was. And this is one of my clothing thoughts because I thought it was hilarious. One of the Switch 2 creators commented on the tariffs in the States. And basically, his comment was, and this is like, I love gaming. I love being a gamer. I've loved being this way for the past 15, 20 years. I still prioritize my survivability over gaming, though. And this dude's comment was, if groceries in the States get too expensive, how are consumers going to be able to play games? That was his comment. Should go find it.
Wait, was that Bowser? Like,
no, it's one of
comment.
the Japanese representatives.
Oh, okay.
Commenting on terrorists that basically said
That's wild,
right?
It's like food, video games.
Yeah, basically
oh my
said,
gosh.
If food gets too expensive, how are people going to be able to play games? And I was like, you're a little bit out of touch, aren't you, bud? And it might, like, economy probably totally different in Japan. I mean, it is totally different in Japan.
Yeah. Especially if you're a CEO and you're making
cheaper.
the Switch.
Yeah. But like, to comment on Gizzy's comment on greed and stuff is like, well, yeah, they want the money, obviously, and people are going to buy the console regardless. People have already bought the console regardless. It's what's gonna happen, and so. It's going to happen. It sucks. I am really curious to see if their policies change over the next couple months, especially after it launches. I want to see how many people this becomes more of a thing, especially when consoles start getting bricked over really minor things or stupid little things. Like, I'm really curious to see if I get demonetized for this episode. But I'm super curious to see what fans' reactions are going to be to the console launching, and within the first couple months, first 2 months at least of console launch, and then see what Nintendo's response to it is. because it also that his comment about groceries reminds me of the same comment that was made about some Blizzard representatives when Diablo Immortal launched, which was, "Do you guys not have phones?" When people made an uproar because Diablo Immortal launched, everyone was like, it was announced as like this brand new Diablo game. It was announced as like this looked great, looked fun, and then announced that it was mobile only. And they announced this on stage at BlizzCon, and everybody booed them. And this dude's response on stage was, "Do you guys not have phones?" Like, and that's all I can think of with this guy's comment about, like, if things get too expensive, how are people gonna game? It's like, we're not.
Oh my goodness.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Like, it's true though, is what it is. Like, if they're gonna up the price of consoles and gaming entirely, you're gonna see a decline in gamers in the next. I would argue 10 years time. Next 10 years time, there's
Yeah.
gonna be a huge decline in player base, or at least in sales, because most people are probably just gonna what they have now.
Well,
Because if I have to spend $800 on a new console, closer to $900 with the games, or pay rent, buy groceries, I can pay rent and get groceries all with that money. There might be other bills you have to pay, phone bills. There's gas for a vehicle, get into work, getting back from work. And even then, you might have a little bit of spending money. And who's to say you don't want to go out with friends or something? Go do something fun like that. I don't, but that's not the point. The point is like, you can't expect people to spend all this money and not be a little frustrated about it. Like, you can't be a fan of something. And I just want to point that out too for everybody. Is like, the reason this is such a big complaint for so many people, including us here right now, isn't because we hate Nintendo. It's because we actually love Nintendo. We care about it. And genuinely, when you care about something, you're going to have complaints when it's not looking good. And that's Nintendo's case right now. It doesn't look good for them. And hopefully that changes. But I have very low hopes for that with how things are nowadays.
Indubitably.
Yep, I agree. I think that Nintendo especially has taken like the fact that they're so high in people's minds and people's like, I would pay money for this. They've abused that to the point it's like, you're gonna pay for this anyways because we have super fans, people who want to be involved, that we can't even boycott them anymore. Even like everyone flooding the like live stream chats, drop the prices. That's not doing anything because people still sold out all the pre-orders. Like, opening day, like, people aren't able to boycott them to basically say, hey, this is not going to work. And so after the launch, I think it's going to crash really hard because nobody is willing to pay for this and no one wants to put up with it. But there's also like the other end of people that are super fans and will do it anyways, whether it is, despite the fact they need to eat food. It's just, it's so conflicting because the people who actually love Nintendo, like you've been saying, are going to be the ones that get dropped because they can't keep up with what Nintendo's doing. So.
That's not to say that, like, gamers come together all the time to demand changes and stuff like that. And it has worked in the past. You can look it up on YouTube and stuff like that, of like situations with games people love and them boycotting in some way or something. Like, one example I can think of from years ago that I took part in was for Honor, when that game first released. That game released without dedicated servers. So you would constantly get into a game, get disconnected, you would crash, you would do whatever. So it wasn't long into the game's life cycle that, a Reddit post or whatever started to go around of people wanted to boycott For Honor, and Ubisoft themselves to finally meet in players' demands. And their idea was to just do a blackout for the game. So everybody agreed on a certain day to just turn off the game, don't go on it, don't play it or anything. And it actually ended up working. Enough of the player base didn't go on the game to make it not, not functional. It's not full of players and stuff like that, that Ubisoft actually would be losing money from it. They listened and we got dedicated servers finally. Mind you, they're not great dedicated servers. You still crash a lot, but they did
got
it.
them.
They listened.
Yeah.
And hopeful. But my problem with Nintendo, though, is like you said, Nintendo is so big. Honestly, they don't have to meet our demands. That Nintendo could close down tomorrow, and anyone working there would be fine for the rest of their lives. Probably their children's lives, honestly, with how big it got. But that's just it. That's an ego thing, right? Like Nintendo, it's an ego battle with them because they're so big, they're so popular, they're so successful that hey, we don't have to meet your demands. This is what we're gonna do.
Yep.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Ubisoft over here is pretty well dead after Assassin's Creed Shadows. I still haven't met Yasuke.
Same. Yeah. Any other last minute clothing thoughts? Since we're hitting the end of our time here. Basically, get used to not owning your stuff anymore.
Yeah. I think Nintendo needs like a
boils down
Game
to.
Pass system, like kind of how Xbox and PlayStation has it. Like if you're gonna tell me I can't own physical games, I can't own my games, at least let me like rent a library of games while I can't own the rest of my games.
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation
Like-
did that phenomenally, actually.
Yeah. I might actually invest, well, after I recover from the Switch too.
I'm never gonna financially recover.
From the sounds of it, you won't recover.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Even though I bought it with a gift card, I'm like,
Yeah. That'll be a top. That might end up being a topic for another guest episode. But like, yeah, PlayStation definitely did that.
I have a random
so
topic
well.
for the next one.
Of course you do. Anyways, that's about all the time we have for today. So thank you for joining us on this lovely episode of Nerds and Nitwits. We hope you stay nerdy, hope you stay nitwitty, and we hope you all have a good evening. And now you get to see our lovely title screen, and not our faces anymore. So everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
I love how Emma waved even though I told her her face wasn't there anymore, but didn't say goodbye.
oh.
Say goodbye, Emma. We're doing that funny little outro thing we always do.
You know,
where
I
it's
actually
title
wave
screen.
goodbye
Get
when I
with
say
the
goodbye on the
program.
phone. That's a normal thing for Emma.
That
So if
sounds
you're on the
about
phone
right.
and I say goodbye, I probably
Wave
waved.
goodbye on the phone.
Yeah,
Oh my.
I'm a
All right.
creature of habit.
Good night, everybody.